forest is very much like a rainforest on land. It's a three-dimensional space that you move through like a jungle.
Hello and welcome to the Big Scuba podcast. Welcome to a little big chat edition. So this is about people coming on, talking to us about whatever they want to talk to us about, whether it's their new diver, where maybe they run a dive centre, maybe they've got a new line of wetsuits coming out, or maybe they've just completed a big project on marine science or something like that, and they want us to help spread that message. Doesn't matter, it's free, you know. They get 40 minutes to talk about them or whatever the subject is, and then we spread it. We put it on our YouTube channel, we put it on our Instagram, Facebook, social media, and then also all we ask is that they do the same across all their social media. And the more we share, the more it gets out there, and the more it helps to keep things ticking over. The other thing I would say as well, don't forget to subscribe. There's more of these coming. We do several of these a month, and that's a blackbird that's now joining us. Everybody wants to be on the show. What can we say? There we go. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell, and that way you'll keep up to date with what's coming on. See you soon.
Myself, I'm the partnership manager. My name is Jacob Dalhoff. I'm the partnership manager of Paralenz. I joined the project a month into it, so I've been with Paralenz from very early on, and my role in the beginning was the marketing director. Let's call it interim marketing director, until we managed to get some really good people in to take care of that part. I can get into that later. But now my mission and my reason for being in general, and my reason for being here, is to make partnerships that really help us make impact.
Yeah.
And that's on the conservation side, bridging science partners with the recreational dive community, but also doing as much as we can to create awareness for the ocean. In basically trying to reach people outside of the diving industry as well, and make the ocean visible to them, and try to inspire many more people to join it. So that's that's what we work on, and I've facilitate and managed our relations with these other science partners and brands and such. So that's what I do here in the company.
Yeah.
Busy role.
Sorry?
A busy role.
It is, and when you're very ambitious and you don't take no for an answer, it gets even more busy. So.
That's so true as well, isn't it? Because I think when you've got a passion for something and vision, it's very easy. And a lot of people, in fact, when you think about it, actually, we probably wouldn't have got to the moon if people like Kennedy and all these others had listened to all the doubters and said, can't happen, you'll never do it, and they did, and is that vision and that passion for having an idea and a product like your cameras, and say, right, we're going to change things, and we're taking things forward,
Exactly. I think actually that at that point, no becomes a motivation. It's not possible becomes a motivation until you're like almost dead flat on the ground, and you're like, okay, maybe that wasn't possible, but then we'll try something else.
So are you actually a scuba diver? Do you dive regularly?
Yes. I've been a diving instructor for 10 years, and I started. I caught the bug in Sharm el-Sheikh, as many others.
Nice one, yeah.
In Egypt. Which I would dub and others have dubbed the diving capital of Europe, with very, very good reason. So I worked there for 3 years. Worked in the Maldives for 3 years, both in a resort and a liveaboard. And I worked in Thailand for the last year that I was an active diving instructor abroad, where I did a lot of videography, underwater videography courses, because that became my passion.
Yeah.
And then I can actually both say luckily and unfortunately, I got very sick. I had a stomach operation that took me out of the professional diving career for the better part of half a year.
Yeah.
And of course I was really devastated to lose that, but then after living in Denmark for half a year, I magically ran into these crazy guys at Paralenz, and then the rest is the past 4 years. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's good. So do you get to test these cameras underwater? Do you still have any sort of diving involvement, that side of things?
Yeah. So it's mostly out of personal interest. But of course, when there is a camera to test and we have something new that we want to go try out, then the beach is not far away. It is dry suit environment, but that hasn't stopped anyone ever. So yeah, it's there's some test diving going on, and of course leisure when I have time to get to it.
And one of our previous guests, I hear, Ranva, who we had on a few days ago.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know Ranva very well. She's a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Really lovely, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, really enthusiastic about her diving and all her experiences. Yeah, it was great. So,
yeah, no, it's an amazing world. I mean, once you fall in love with that, it's just incredible.
Yeah, diving's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're talking about the whole world, and then there's all these like little, clumps of people, and everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's what you love about the dive shows, right? It's like this little festival where you meet up with all your friends from all over the world and exchange ideas and brainstorm, and a lot of things they spring out from these meetings.
Yeah. So your cameras are sold worldwide, are they? Are you in every kind of continent?
Yeah. So our not exactly, but our main markets are US. We do have presence in the UK as well, and then we're focusing a lot on Germany, France, Italy, Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's sort of our focus areas. But I mean, after a while now, the chance of finding a Paralenz everywhere is growing. There is also some presence in Australia, few in South Pacific area as well, like resellers that sells the camera, and we also have a lot of users from that area.
Yeah.
So it is pretty much worldwide. Yeah.
So your main competitors are probably people like GoPro.
Yeah, I would say like straight off the top of my head, it's definitely GoPro. Sea Life is also a camera that caters to divers. So in terms of audience and the people we speak to, Sea Life is a competitor, and in terms of use and the demand and how many cameras is out there, it's probably GoPro that are one of the bigger competitors. But when it comes down to using it, it's really about not having to make a compromise when you go down there. And it's like every time you take a camera and putting it in a box, you're making a compromise to what you could really do. I mean, we're not trying to replace big brick housings, like the Nordicam housings with the awesome Canon and Panasonic cameras inside them. We see ourselves more in addition to those cameras and that style of photography and videography. But for people that enjoy recreational photography and videography, or wants to add a video camera to their main photography camera or video camera, that's a great option there, and it's super easy to use, and I think where it comes in first over cameras such as GoPro and DJI is the fact that you don't need a housing. There's no O-rings other than the ones in the cap, the end cap.
Yeah.
There is no. There's a minimum requirement of maintenance, and you always know what it's doing. Battery life is extended, and then the very cool thing is that you have a depth controlled color correction, which means that you don't need to put external color filters on the camera. We measured all the changes in the colors for different watercolors, so blue and green to start out with, but that will become much more sophisticated and automated in the future. But the camera basically knows what colors to add to the depth that it's at because it has a pressure sensor.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's really cool. It takes a lot of hassle with extra accessories out of the equation.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So you
Until you've gone underwater in the kelp forest, you wouldn't have a clue what you're in for. When you look at it from the land and you just see these kind of brown spiky things floating on top of the water, and you imagine it's going to be quite unpleasant. You don't expect it to be so beautiful. From that very first dive, I just felt like I had tuned into something that was very, very good for me. And I felt like I was dropping into reality, the reality of the natural world, in a way that I never had before. I try and get into the water every single day. It's a very, very powerful practice to have, and it puts everything in perspective because it's something so much bigger than yourself that you can't control, that you're constantly aware of. I feel very, very safe in the kelp as well. I know which animals live where, and I know that big predators like great whites are very unlikely to move into the kelp. When you talk about the Amazon or you talk about the Great Barrier Reef, those places are so iconic in most people's minds that people have an emotional connection to it, even if they've never been there. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to connect people emotionally to the Great African Sea Forest, which is this place that we really, really love and are dedicated to protecting. Skin diving is basically free diving, but not using a wetsuit. And in tropical places, I think it's normal to do it that way. But where I live in Cape Town, the water can drop to 8 degrees in certain months of the year. There's a whole cocktail of neurochemicals that get released into your brain by cold water, which, yeah, for me it's become like a practice, the same way that people meditate or do yoga. That's what the cold is for me. A kelp forest is very much like a rainforest on land. It's a three-dimensional space that you move through like a jungle. I'll just go in with a mask, be completely barefoot in the forest. It gives you a completely different feeling. Sometimes you kind of move through that and you feel like an aquatic monkey. For me, there's just something so incredibly calming about being in nature. I think the human psyche would evolve into a very unhealthy space without nature to ground it. My name is Pippa Erlich. I'm a skin diver and marine filmmaker and journalist.
Yeah.
So are your cameras for just anybody, or do you have to have experience of using an underwater camera before you kind of progress?
I would say it's probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, but but as a former diving instructor, I have been craving this camera for my entire professional career, and also as a recreational photographer, it's really good. So I would actually say it's both one of the best starting points that you could choose, both for photography and videography.
Yeah.
Because it's super simple, easy to use. There are a minimum of settings if you don't want to be able to access those settings. And then on the other range, professional photographers, we have teams that produce content for BBC and Netflix that also uses the camera as not as a main camera, but as a B-roll camera.
Yeah.
So it's really applicable for every diver and snorkeler, and even scientists. And I don't know if I should try and mention a little bit about the camera's capability of locking.
Yeah, definitely.
Locking the marine data.
This is a new feature, isn't it?
Yeah. So the first version that we released about 3 years ago, it had the depth and the temperature sensor. And when people uploaded dives to the Paralenz app, which we see the camera and the app as one. So when people upload their dives to the app with the previous camera, they can set the location of their dive, and thus also the location of the depth and temperature profile that they collected. So from very early on, we knew that we could do something, and we have also been, of course, within GDPR regulations and non-personalized. We have also stored a lot of temperature and depth logging with location, and with regards to the new unit, we added a conductivity sensor and a GPS sensor. So now it's no longer up to the user to make sure that he sets the right location. Now the camera knows where the data was logged. And this gives it much more substance. We made it. It's been a mission from the very beginning. It's a heartfelt mission, but we managed to be able to communicate it much more thoroughly through our company, and really design, really be able to communicate our mission much better and our purpose with this. So the idea is that with the new camera, when you go diving, when you video your holidays or your work, or with whatever you're using it for, when you're in the water, it logs the point of entry with GPS and the point of exit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after the dive, when you connect it to the application, it uploads the conductivity, temperature, depth, and location, non-personalized, to a database. And what it also does is that it has this functionality that people can upload sections of the video. So they can go into the app, they can choose which sections of the video that they would like to share with the community. And when they do that, it ends up in a world map inside the app, which you can also access.
It's good.
Perfect, awesome. So that's it's the explore function in the bottom of the app. If you out there, check it out. And what people can do there is upload small video clips of the places that they go, so that the normal users can be inspired to dive in different places of the world and see how it is. And this is even more so important with this new situation that we're in, and where we have to focus on diving locally, and it seems that it's really great. So that's really cool. I love that is happening. When people upload these videos to the ocean base, we have the ambition and the plan to, within a year or two. It's very hard to set timelines in these things, but we have a strong focus and a strong ambition to create an AI with our science partners, universities and such, that will be able to read the video bits that people are uploading voluntarily. We'll be able to assess the coral condition that are filmed in these videos to see if it's bleached or if it has disease or if it's healthy. And also, we want to be able to identify fish families. And you know, you could, the possibilities of this are endless. It's just a matter of resources and focus and prioritization. But you know, essentially, we could be looking at a world where recreational divers and snorkelers carrying the Paralenz camera,
they're going to become marine biologists.
they will become
Citizens.
at least marine sensors, and they will help contribute with video that can give us the opportunity to assess outbreaks of invasive fish species, or assess the health of coral reefs. There are so many applications.
Out of interest, have you been talking to marine biologists? Have you been talking to people like Manta Pacific, Galapagos Whale Shark Projects, those guys? Have you spoke to any of them? I know you're partnered up with Reef World.
Yes,
and some of these others.
Exactly. I mean, I would like to mention all of our partners, because they've been really helpful all the way through. If anybody out there would like to read more about them, then it's on our website, paralenz.com. There is a section in the menu called partnerships, where you can read where you can read more about each individual partner. But we're partnering with Beneath the Waves, that are you know, a prominent shark research organization doing a lot of work for creating shark MPAs. We're working with Dr. Greg Asner from Arizona State University. He runs their Center for Global Science and Conservation. No, sorry, Global Discovery and Conservation Science, it's called. So there's some really interesting stuff going on with them. We are working with Save the Med in the Mediterranean. And yeah, there are really a lot of cool, ambitious, knowledgeable people out there. And the Necton mission, which works to map like the deep water layers, to get a better idea of the conditions of those. So I could go into detail with a lot of partnerships, but that's
we've spoke to like people like the Manta Pacific and Galapagos Whale Shark Project, and we spoke to some of these other explorers and what have you, and the message comes back is that what you're now doing and planning and with the new app all ties in really well with what they're doing and the things that they've said, because they've told us they don't have enough eyes out there to really put all the data together and say, right, and fill in the gap. So they can only go out there for a limited period of time, but then you've got liverboards going out there, tourist diving, so on, and people taking photos. And you have to rely on people to go on the websites, tagging when you've seen a certain manta going around. And, there's all these things you have to do. With what you're doing, you're streamlining that process. So, and it all be done automatically. All you've got to do is go on your Paralenz app, go to the Explorer part, and that's logged. And you can see the photos and the video. So hopefully, really, we'll be getting more data coming in to help organisations like them.
Yes,
good.
Exactly. And with that, I also want to mention that with an eye to limited resources and combined with a crazy ambition and passion for this, we really want to reach out to everyone that thinks, partners and organizations that think that
crazy ambition changes the world, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But we really want to reach out to, you're completely right, Ian. We really want to reach out to partners and organizations that think that they can, help scale the impact that this can create. and you know, for which that we would be a, you know, a beneficial partner. We'd love to hear from them. There is a bit of response time, but you know, I love hearing about these different organizations and specific cases where we can actually enable divers, recreational divers and snorkelers to really help make a difference. Yeah.
Mm. What kind of depth does the camera go down to? What's it capable of?
The new camera, it's going, the previous one when it goes down to 250 meters.
Oh, wow.
The new one, we added another 100 meters, so 350 meters. And I mean, you would say, is that really relevant? I think there's one record breaker that reached about 330 something. Yeah. Is that really relevant? And you know, I mean, your regulator, your regulator can go pretty deep as well, but you're not.
Well,
you know.
it's good to know that if you do go drop your camera in, you know, if you do go for a dive for 10 meters, you know it's going to work.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's about,
yeah, it's about you know, symbolizing strength and durability, but it's also more than that because it makes it applicable as a research tool and a commercial tool as well.
I've got two things to tell you. Okay, that one, I've been on quite a few dives with people who've got GoPros. I don't know if they had GoPro cases for their GoPros, so don't know that, but they had GoPro cameras at least.
Yeah.
And after a dive, they found moisture actually inside, and that could be down to all sorts of things. That, you know, might not be a genuine case. Could be that the cases were banged or knocked about. Could be old and deteriorating around the seals. So that could be down to all. But I have been on dives with different divers, and they've gone, I've got water in case.
Foggy lens.
Yeah. I actually got three things to tell you. The second thing I've got to tell you is I love how the engineering is involved with the Paralenz, because you can see it's been thought about how you can be operating with gloves on. You know, if you've got 5mm gloves on, trying to do simple things and push buttons, you know, I've found that difficult in the water, and you're swimming along. And I've got a GoPro myself at the moment, but it's difficult to push the button sometimes, you know, and you're fumbling about with 5mm gloves on, your hands are cold. So it's a good bit of thought has gone on with that. And also, the third thing, I spoke to Christina Sonato before we come on, who's a long-time user of Paralenz, loves it, shouts at your praises, says it's really good. You know, and she takes it down to her and Kevin to really deep caves in the Bahamas, uses it all the time. So, as you know, if she can use it in caves at 100 meters down, we can use it when we're 10 meters having the poodle about on a shelf.
Exactly. That's what I love about this camera, is that it's, you know, it's really diverse in its use cases, in its application, which exactly as you say, it's relevant at the surface and down to 10 meters, even as a snorkeler. And it's relevant for the highly, you know, trained technical diver. And about the shape and the form factor and the buttons that you mentioned, it's both, of course, so it's operable with gloves, but also a very important factor in having push buttons is that they don't work under pressure.
Yeah.
So when you go deep enough, you actually, if you have for the other, you know, competitors, action style cameras, if you want a really deep housing, you almost can't push the buttons at the surface because they're, you know, calibrated to be able to be pushed at a deeper depth. And vice versa, if you bring a housing that is not designed for depth, then the buttons will be pushed all the time. I think also what's quite, you know, might be interesting for you to learn a little bit more about is the story behind the people that that developed the Paralenz. Is that it was a group of actually initially 4 people. They'd been running a product development prototyping company consultancy for 15 years, and working with some of the top 20 companies in Denmark. helping them design and develop products, exhibition material, like you name it. If you can think it, they can take it out somehow. And then helping them, source the production in the countries that they wanted to have it sourced. And after 15 years, they wanted to try and solve some of their own problems. And one of the guys, Martin Holmberg, is still with the company. There are two of the original founders still with the company.
That's good that the original people are still there.
Yeah. But Martin and Michael are extremely dedicated, passionate people. Martin is a very avid diver as well, and he was so adamant that we needed to make a diving camera, a camera specifically made for underwater, because there are so many compromises and problems with that. And that's where it started. It required some persistence from his side, because none of the other guys were divers. They were just crazy developers. There were some free divers in between as well. And then that's kind of where it grew out from. So the expertise of knowing how to identify the wants and needs of a group of users of any kind had kind of been their expertise. But then comes in the element of giving them what they really need and want, and not what they think and want. Want. Like the old saying with if I asked them what they wanted, if I'd given them what they wanted, I would have given them faster horses. So there's kind of it's a combination there. But I also don't want to. We can't take credit for developing this camera fully, because we reached out to the dive community, hundreds of divers over, I think it was 80 countries or something, and also local dive centers in the initial phase, of course. But we reached out to the dive community and asked them, what would you like in a camera? And that's been the starting point. And ever since, we've really taken feedback in from the community.
Some massive, great big list.
There is a fantastically huge list at one of our developers' desk in his computer, of course. But yeah, there are a lot of ideas for the future, and it can be frustrating that you have to prioritize, like really narrow down the focus. But that's also how you create success, right?
Good idea putting the screen on. Sorry? Good idea putting the screen on.
Yeah, so that's a direct feedback from clients that we felt that was such a need. Ideally, or initially, we didn't put it on because we wanted to create a camera that didn't take focus away from the dive. Yeah. That's also why it has vibration feedback, so you never have to look at it. It has distinct vibration patterns for on and off, for stop recording, the mode that you're setting it. So even if it's on your mask, you never have to look at it to know what it's doing. As soon as you know it's vibration language, right?
Clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but it still vibrates, so you still don't have to look at it. But now we have the opportunity to see what what is in frame, and that's the other thing. I mean, even though that is there, I'm still not going to use it so much because it's very intuitive in its framing. It's like
But you know what that stops? I've been using another camera, and I used it the other day when me and Gemma went for a shore dive, and got it back, and then I looked at it and I realised that I had a buckle off my BCD in front of it the whole time. It was fine when we were on the beach, got in the water, different position, buckle swings, and that's really annoying. So you can imagine if you have a special day planned, a special dive, and and then that happens, it can ruin it. But at least you can just check.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, great point, Ian. It's really that is something that grew out of the users' feedback. And another thing I can mention is the auto record. So we developed this function, and this was not a part of the camera to begin with. We developed this function that when you it's great for freediving. When you're at the surface and you go down, you can set it to a depth where you want to start recording, and also a depth where you want it to stop again. So you don't, and definitely also for scuba divers, when you're on a dive boat, you just turn it on, and then you get yourself ready, and then when you jump in, it starts recording. Or if you are doing a deep wreck and you don't want it to record the descent or the ascent, then you just set it to start recording once you reach the wreck. So and that was actually a free diver that asked us, wouldn't we be able to use the depth sensor to create this mechanism? And then 2 weeks after, we sent out a firmware update with it.
That is a good idea, because you're getting rid of more task load in the dive, and anything like that is a good idea.
Yeah.
So brilliant. Where did the name come from for the new camera?
So Paralenz Vaquita, we really want to make impact, and it's not, it's heartfelt, and it comes from the core. So in whichever way we can do it, we will try and do it. And when we started naming it, we didn't want to call it
because that's a whale, isn't it?
VH or whatever. We wanted to give it a name with the magnitude, and by naming it Vaquita, which you correctly states, it's a whale that is nearing extinction, and it's so close that it is probably too late, to be honest. It's quite sad.
It's only 30 in the wild pack at the last update.
Sorry?
There's only 30 of them left in the wild, according to the last update.
Yes, and I believe there are actually about a third of that. So it's really hard to see, but the reason why we did it is to create awareness, to make people ask questions and like, okay, Vaquita, what is this? And if you Google Vaquita, you will see, the importance of really, focusing on the marine life and helping it out, not just the Vaquita, but other issues as well. So it's all about creating awareness.
So Jacob, we don't have too much longer left. Where do people need to go to find out more about the Vaquita? How much is it? Is it available in the UK? Is it out yet?
So you can go to our website, paralenz.com. We have all the different sections there where you can read more about the specifics that interest you, and we have a blog as well where you can read about what we're doing with our partners and different stories. The camera is available for pre-order now, and the first batch, which we will ship in September, is already sold out. The October batch is nearing its end. So if you wanna be sure to have a camera before October, then now is the time. The camera is 749 euros.
Okay.
So I don't have the pound price with me right now, but you can go and
get it on for around about the same. So
yeah. So but you can go to the website and check out all the details for the camera. I would also encourage you all to download the app, Paralenz app. You don't need the camera to really see how cool it is. You can download a test dive. You can access all of the dives that are uploaded by the users. So that's a great way of getting to know Paralenz. And also one last thing is our Facebook group. Of course, we are on Facebook with just search Paralenz, but we have a Facebook group called Paralenz World, where I think we're reaching 5,000 users now that many of them has a camera, and you'll get as unbiased comments as you can get from a Paralenz user. But there you
invite the comments, you got to expect it all.
Yeah, so paralenz.com, download the app and go check out the Paralenz World Facebook.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's really interesting. Because I think for some divers, they won't have thought about cameras and the concept of what it can do. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's been good.
Likewise, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, and keep in touch if you've got anything that you want us to share. That'd be great.
Yeah, do use us. So just fire it over. We'll put it around on our social media and everything. Okay. But thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. Nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
good weekend.
Bye.
Cheers.
Yes.
Monday morning comes around again. There's a concrete jungle is surrounding my head, and I want to be free. That's why I'm dreaming of the same. There's zombies in suits all around, feeding off my soul while they're keeping me down. And I want to be free. That's why I'm dreaming of the same. That's why I'm dreaming of the sea and the ocean breeze. Waves crashing over me, the surfboard beneath my